Starting my video. Video's on. Apparently I'm muted. Participants. Wait a minute. Can you hear me? See, in theory, I'm not muted, but I can't hear myself talking either. So this is a problem. Okay, so do you need the actual login? I can tell it to you. Okay, the meeting ID is 712 3796 6081, and then the last 81. And then if you click in, then I'll give you the password, but you have to, or you want to 5, the number 5, lowercase j, then then Z like zebra, U like under, okay, 5, then the lowercase letter j, no I, no, 5, the number 5, yeah, the number 5, the lowercase letter j, the uppercase letter Z like zebra, the uppercase letter U like underwear, the number 9, and the number 8. And now I've got to go back to settings on this because I think somehow I'm muted. But you're going to log in now, right? Okay, so I'm hanging up on my phone, and then you'll tell me if you can hear my voice or not. Okay. I'm back. Can you hear me? No. Well, who's the person? Huh. Admit. Asai, can you hear me?
All right, hello, Laura?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so apparently a person's mute until there's a second person. But I'm still not seeing your video. Do you have video?
I do. Just give me 1 second and set
right,
the
because because you got to make sure you look around, make sure you want people to see what you're seeing. Exactly.
I don't want people to see my Jack Daniels right next to me. One second.
Well, they won't because they only see from about your shoulders up. Hang on, I'm closing a door.
Okay.
All right. This will be real fun. I'm trying to figure out how to share the screen. What is this? Okay, who else?
Give me 1 minute, Laura. I'll be right.
That's all right. I'm letting Raheem in. Hi, Raheem. I should comb my hair.
No.
Hi, Raheem.
Hey, I'm gonna just go ahead and mute myself.
I know, I unmuted you and then I heard the background.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to try. I'm going to try and put the agenda on the screen without it going gigantic, but I don't think I can. Ugh. No, I hate this. If anyone knows how to make this not the full screen. I'd
I
love.
just press escape right after it, because then I get the minimized version of it.
Yeah, but I'm not. Wait a minute, what's this? Ooh. Oh, even better. Okay. Maybe not. Okay, I've completely screwed up this. How's that?
We only see the top portion where.
Oh, can I just say I'm not seeing much of anything, so I'm going to stop the screen share and just use the agenda. I'll just read things out loud from it. And thing to learn. Oops. Second thing I have to learn is apparently I am the person who has to let people into the meeting. Hi, Dorit. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
So Asai, your video is still not on. Do you care?
How's that?
Oh, there you are. Oh, look what you've done. Okay.
Yeah, I commuted to San Francisco. I'm right now like
right. Very
living
cool.
life. Yeah.
Very cool. But just remind you that we're going to see you drink too. Your Jack Daniels.
No, I don't have that with me at the moment.
Well, and by the way, if you're watching, if your hand goes too far to your left, it gets cut off by the ocean. Well, maybe not now. It was before. The ocean did not like your thermos.
All right, we have 3 people in case.
No. Well, we do. Is Greg coming? Do we think? Oops. Okay. So here's some of my lessons learned. Definitely there has to be a second host moderator because I wasn't paying attention. I have to pay attention to the waiting room. Who knew?
Wow, Jeff. I love it.
Can you see Jeff? Because I can't see Jeff. There he, oh, look. Yes, he doesn't want us to see his house. Oh, he's muted. Unmute him. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, let me turn off the news so I can concentrate.
Yeah, we haven't started. We have 2 minutes before we have to start. Okay. So is anybody really good at this? Because I'm trying to figure out how to see more people at the same time.
That would be done with, you go up here to your settings on the right and you do gallery view.
Okay.
And you can see everybody all at once.
Much better. Okay.
But when I did that, Jeff, you went away.
Oh, well, it might depend on how big your actual screen is. Because Jeff is below us now.
No, actually, I'm right next to you on my screen.
Well, because everybody's computer, the order is you first, host second, which would be me, and then everybody else in the order they joined. So Raheem, even though your video is off, are you able to see us? Oh, I'm gonna unmute you to find the answer. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Raheem.
Hey, what's up, Jeff? And Dorit.
Howdy.
And Asai.
Hey.
So Raheem is sort of lurking, and he has kids in the background, so he's staying mute most of the time. 6:59. Let me just call Greg to make sure he's not having trouble getting in.
We can't be stuck in traffic.
No, well, it could be stuck. Oh, he's here. Could be stuck in internet traffic. Here, I'm letting him in. Okay.
This Zoom call reminds me of the most hilarious jokes relating to Zoom, like what people call memes. This is exactly the perfect definition of it. It's very interesting. I love it.
Hi, Greg.
Hi.
So,
Hello.
how are you?
Fine.
Your video is off. That may be
Yeah.
on purpose.
No, yes, I know. I'm turning it on. It
Okay.
says undetected. So let me figure out why it's undetected.
Well, maybe your device. Who knows? Oops, Steve Bay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Wait.
We have another guest.
Hello, guest.
Steve. No, it's Steve. Hi. Oop, let me unmute him.
Ah, I see Greg
Hi, Dory.
with Rock'em Sock'em Robot behind
There
him.
you go. Somebody knows what that is.
Hey, wait
Thank
a minute.
you.
What is it behind you?
Thank
Rock'em
you.
Sock'em Robot.
Yes. Yes.
Hi, Steve.
Someone knows.
Hi, Laura.
How are
Hey,
you?
Jeff.
Good. How are you?
I am fine. I guess it's 7:01 and we have quorum, so we can begin. So sadly, because we're just all learning this, I have to actually keep my eye on the participant screen as well, because apparently it's up to me to admit people to the meeting. So lesson learned, we will definitely have to have at least one other person at future meetings whose job that is. Anyway, welcome to our experiment.
You need a motion for approval of the agenda.
Yes, but first one must call it to order, but I was going to ask Asai, should I just go ahead and chair this, or did you?
I have no problem with you chairing it. By all means.
All right. So so we're calling the meeting to order. We all know each other, but Steve does not know us. He's the president of another neighborhood council. So I think before we approve the agenda, if we can just all introduce ourselves. Steve knows me, Laura Myers, but going around the room, Dory.
Hi, I'm Dorit. I'm the secretary and board member at large.
Hi, Dory.
Asai?
Hi, everyone. My name is Asai Vergara. I'm the current vice president of United Neighborhoods Network Council.
Okay, Greg.
Hi, my name is Greg Jackson, Gregory W. Jackson. I am the treasurer.
Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeff. Nice to meet you, Steve. I'm the lurker in this meeting because I have been council president for UNNC for, I don't know, 5.5 years, and been on the board for 10.5 years, and now I am the deputy for the majority of UNNC's footprint with council member Herb Wesson.
Right. And then Raheem.
I actually do know Steve because we worked together on
Right. And we have, right.
cannabis.
We have two callers. I don't know who they are. So 213-810-2852. What we're doing before really starting the meeting is just introducing everybody.
This is Paula Southern.
Okay. Hi, Paula. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Glad you're here. And then we have, 323-298-1178.
That's me, Paula.
Oh, then who's the other one? 213-810-2852.
That would be me. My name is Marlene Durio. Good evening, everyone. I'm a resident in Council District 10, and just wanted to join in and possibly become involved in some way in the community. I've been a resident, or at least my family has been a resident for 40+ years in Council District 10. And I attended a communications meeting back in October once, but I've been a caregiver to my grandchildren, and so that my time is kind of freed up, and I just wanted to re-enter if possible.
Great, hello. And then Steve, I had everybody introduce themselves to you, but I didn't have you introduce yourself.
Hey, everyone. My name's Steve Bay. I'm the president of the Wilshire Center Currytown Neighbor Council, which is also in Council District 10. We're obviously all of the NCs are trying to figure out what's the best way to meet. And so when I saw Laura was going to be holding this executive committee meeting, I decided to jump on and just kind of observe. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so officially the meeting is called to order and we need an approval of the agenda. I recognize that unless you printed it out, you don't, whoever you are, you don't have it. So let me just quickly run through it and then take a motion for approval. The first, and that's because I haven't figured out a good way to do screen sharing. So again, this is an experiment. The first item would be public comments, announcements, 2 minutes per speaker. And then the second broad item is executive committee business. Budget reallocations and funding requests if and as needed. Our executive committee makes recommendations to the governing board in this category. Greg has started. Yes. Okay. Well, that's okay. So that was okay. You're going to zoom all the way down. I was trying to avoid having a full screen, but that's okay. Keep going. It's the next page where our agenda, the actual agenda is. And we don't know how to make it smaller. So
hold on. Maybe I do.
Ooh, so good. Perfect. So now there's that thing about how I was supposed to try to limit screen sharing to only one person, but this is great. So there you go. And I'm going to go back onto participants. Okay. So anyway, so the second item is our upcoming governing board meeting agenda. The third item would be board member trainings and attendance review, if we can do that. It's just a standard item on an agenda. The item D is executive and governing board policies, duties, and procedures. The item is a standard, but there's a specific sub thing about our draft minutes on the website. E is UNNC bylaws. F is comments on the draft EIR that are due Friday for the city sidewalk repair program. The next item is a treasurer's report. The item after that is committee updates, then old business, discussion, and possible action. So do I have a motion? Do I have a pen is the next question.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, approve agenda.
And is there a second?
Greg seconds.
And is there a secretary taking these minutes? Because I just noticed I have no pen in hand.
I am taking the minutes.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded. The only voters are the members of the executive committee. I'm going to do it by roll call. Asai?
Yes.
Dorit?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Laura? Yes. There we are. And Isaac is absent, if that can be noted. Okay. So public comments, announcements, 2 minutes per speaker. Are there any? Oh, here's something. I'm not seeing the raise hand function. So let me do a, there's not very many of us here. So if anybody, just actually raise your hand and I'll try if you're videoed, or just say I'd like to say something.
You mean
Anyone has a public comment? Greg?
No, I would just look at the function.
What I'm noticing is that on the bottom of the screen, if you look at participants, if you click on the participants function, manage participants,
yes.
and what I'm not seeing is usually
reaction.
Where'd you find the raise hand, Jeff?
It's reaction to the right on the bottom of my screen.
It's you have to go to the bottom of the Zoom screen, and if you click on participants, it'll bring up the list of people who are in the meeting, and there is where you can raise and lower your hand.
So I'm guessing the host does not get to do that, so therefore I don't see it. But I see raised hand.
Laura, for you as the host, you don't get that option.
Because I don't need to.
Correct.
Okay. Perfect. All right.
So that's why you don't see it.
All right. Jeff, you have your hand raised.
Only for testing practices only. My hand is now lowered.
Okay. So for everybody else, is there a hand to be raised?
And also, Laura, just so you know, for those that are calling in by phone, they can also raise their hand. I believe it's *9 that they hit. And that'll raise their hand virtually in here as well.
Okay.
Hand was raised. Yes.
Asai.
Can we get one of the phone callers to test that?
So you're saying *9?
Sure.
I was told it's *9. I have not confirmed that yet. So it's either *9 or #9. I've heard both.
Well, I'm seeing nothing.
Okay, this is Paula. Let me try.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. There you
Okay.
go.
Which one was it?
Paula.
It was *9.
*9.
And so now, do I have to do *9 again to lower my hand? Or
I believe so. If not, Laura as the host can actually lower the hand as well.
Okay, good.
But try *9.
Oh, look at that. Yes, I can. Got rid of it.
Okay, there we go.
And Laura, don't forget I'm on the phone.
I didn't forget.
Okay.
But also, I'm starting a chat. Can you guys see that?
No. Why are we starting a chat?
Well, because oh, never mind. You couldn't see it because it was to everyone in the waiting room. So starting another chat. Okay, do you guys
chat.
Okay, so what you can do is if I'm not paying attention or I don't see a raised hand, you can also write in the chat box, I'd like to comment on this, or please call on me. Just, I mean, again, there's not very many of us. When the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment releases whatever they're going to release, and we potentially have 60 people in a room, I'm not sure if they're going to let us have a chat function. Okay, Asai, your hand is up.
Yes, hi. My name is Asai Vergara. As many of you know, I'm also the Vice President here of the United Neighborhood Neighborhood Council. But currently, right now, I'm also representing, during these 2 minutes, the Latino Coalition of Los Angeles. I am the Secretary of the coalition. And right now, we have a partnership with an organization called United Latinx Fund. Specifically, we are working on a campaign specifically focused on helping nonprofits who are currently struggling to stay afloat here in the city of LA due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We would love for people to sign a online petition that's hosted by the United Latinx Fund to push City Council when they have a bailout relief plan to help these nonprofits. So if anyone would like more information, please feel free to email me specifically at the Latino Coalition LA Secretary at gmail.com, or have any one of these board members give out my Gmail account, my Gmail, and I'd be happy to work with you there.
What was that email again? Latino Coalition what?
Latino Coalition LA.
Oh, LA, uh-huh.
Secretary.
Oh, secretary, that's what I forgot. Okay.
At gmail.com.
Okay.
Help. So you're gonna push for notes for secretary stuff. You push city council to help nonprofits.
To help nonprofits struggling to stay afloat financially due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you.
So Asai, all nonprofits, or did you have it, is your idea, and I know we're not really supposed to be back and forth discussing, but it's the social service nonprofits or any nonprofit? This
will be all nonprofits with the fact that they have a real dire need to have some type of financial assistance. If not, they run a really big risk of just not existing anymore. And we all know that nonprofits play a big pivotal role in a lot of the communities, even here in UNNC, but also in areas, poor areas like South LA, which a lot of nonprofits have been focusing a lot of attention to.
Okay. Any other public comments? Just feel free to jump in if there are any. Okay. Hearing none, the next item on the agenda is budget reallocations and funding requests if or as needed. And I have an update to information. What the agenda item says is, due to the COVID-19 crisis, how should UNNC reallocate this current year's fiscal year's budget categories to increase emergency spending and or to accommodate unexpected administrative costs due to the new meeting platforms, and I'm going to say and or to allow for more robust website updates among potential items. The agenda went out before the mayor released the budget. So what the budget is showing is next year's budget would be 30,000-ish for neighborhood councils rather than the 43, and plus the 10,000 rollover, and in our case, plus the 4,000, just under 4,000 that we still have in a special set-aside fund. And what I don't know is whether or not they're going to also approve the rolling over of all of this year's neighborhood council funds into next year. So there's a motion at City Council that came before the budget to allow neighborhood councils to roll over 100% of their remaining funds into the next fiscal year. The mayor's budget does not reflect that. So my concern is, if we have, I think, about $15,000 left after the $5,000 emergency spending, and Greg can confirm that, if we can't roll it over, but we can have a May 7th meeting, I hope, would we want to recommend that the majority of those funds also be designated for emergency spending so that we can up the project, spend more money on helping our community? Dorit?
I would like to know how much more money we need for the rest of the year with whatever ongoing expenses that we have, like the webmaster and any other expenses that I haven't gotten my hands around yet to understand. And then whatever is left over, since we're not going to have Walk on Washington, since we're not going to have any events between now and June 31st, let's spend it all on emergency stuff for whatever we can't carry over.
Right. And Raheem may be able to address this. I had originally thought I would be needing Anne to do a lot more work on the website that's beyond the $225 we spend each month for her. I have not noticed her actually stepping up to the plate and doing it. So I don't know that, essentially we owe her $225 a month, and we've only paid through January. So we haven't paid February, March, April, May, and June. But Raheem, have you had any conversations with her about, she's very busy, so I don't know if she is going to be able to do a lot more work on the website.
Yeah, I haven't had any conversations with her, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like we may need to set some office administration funds over there just in case, because we don't, again, a lot of this is a crystal ball that'll have a better answer come the actual board meeting by May 7th. Part of me says if the City Council adopts the roll all the funds over, we also need to have some funds for next year for the elections. Paula, did you have some thoughts?
No.
Oh, no, the green light keeps coming on and off on, no hand raised.
That
Okay.
might be my face hitting the buttons on the phone. Sorry.
No problem. Greg, do you have a sense, am I correct that it's about 15,000 that we haven't spent?
21K.
21K that we haven't spent.
Yes.
So that's So 15 is what, I am right. I was sort of guesstimating, but it's,
Yes.
the emergency funding that we are given but haven't spent, plus the webmaster that we haven't spent yet. If you
Yes.
factor those two, is 15. So of the 15, we get to keep 14 anyway if we rolled it over, but that I don't necessarily want to roll all of that over.
Are we sure we can keep it? I mean, they're allowing that. That's not been changed, or you won't know
No,
that.
I'm sure that I'm sure of nothing. I'm sure the mayor's budget shows a cut of 27% of neighborhood council budget. So instead of 43, it's 30 or 31. And I'm also sure it also includes $10,000 rollover because that policy was adopted more than a year ago. So he's the standard 10,000 rollover. I'm also sure, oddly enough, we have, and Jeff, somebody might understand this a little bit better, but we were given 2 grants that are in a set aside fund. It's up to about $4,000. We had voted to use that money as the money source for the project we approved in Jefferson Park. But when the clerk went to pay it, she just took it from our regular funds. So we still have the 4,000 as a set aside. So that's what I'm saying. We have 10 that would go, 4 that would go, and 30 some for next year today. The council hasn't gotten involved yet. Dorit.
I say definitely let's push as much as we can to next year, and then to address a couple things that the executive committee and the board believe needs to be addressed. Emergency stuff, helping folks who are in dire need right now. I mean, there's one population that I always think of the most, but there's 20 something board members, so everyone should weigh in about who they think needs it the most. And then address things like the website, making it much more up to date, and some other things that we may feel that needs to be addressed to make us more, so when all this is over, we come out stronger for the community to have a place to come to have a governing body that they want to work with.
Right. Raheem, would you be able to talk to Ann and find out realistically, because I sent the 2 of you guys sort of a long list of things I'd love to see on the website related to this COVID-19. Can you find out realistically, does she have any ability to do that? Because we would have to pay her if she did do it. But if she's not going to do it, we don't need to hold back the funds.
Yeah, I can talk to her this week.
Okay, I appreciate that. So I think, personally, I think I'd like to have take 5,000 additional money and have some wiggle room if we need to do more emergency spending. So in other words, Dunn gave us 5 total, and I would love if we really had a meeting to make that a total of 10, up to 10, which we may or may not ever spend, but that would be kind of my goal. And that may mean that we don't have as much money to roll over, but maybe it doesn't matter.
We could come out of this so much stronger next year, by just doing a great deal of planning right now. And I'm gonna be quiet to let other people talk.
Okay, Greg, what do you think?
I know there was a data call for organizations that we can make donations to with the $5,000 that was given to us at the President's discretion funds.
Right.
And of that, we've only given 1,000.
Correct. And we're not allowed to talk about that at this meeting, unfortunately. So that's.
Alrighty then. That's.
Well, no,
okay.
because Dunn keeps giving me instructions.
That's fine. So let me speak around it.
Thank you.
Conceptually, if we just need to have another data call of what are the needs in our community, which Dorit is speaking of, what are the needs in our community, so that we can say these are the projects that we want to fund, but we need to think about, is it a one-time funding issue, or is it a long-term project that we want to fund? So what are the needs? I just don't want to move money just for the sake of moving it. If we don't have a list of projects that we want to support.
Right. We have very little leeway at the moment because of what Dunn is saying.
Right.
So if we had an agenda item based on a recommendation from us on our,
Yes.
again, I'm hoping it's a May 7th Zoom meeting, since
Yes.
they said May 1st is when they're launching the program, and our meeting is scheduled for May 7th. I'd love to have an item there which would also allow us to set up what they are calling a task force temporary committee, and such committees are not subject to the Brown Act. But I can't set up the committee until the board meeting either.
And the task force would be to determine.
To have a deeper dive, yeah.
Okay.
Without violating the Brown Act. So it's sort of two different things. You know, if we wanted to up the emergency funding category, you know, so that the total is up to 10, because they've already told us it's up to 5. I see a hand from Jeff. If the board, if we did that and then the board also agreed, then we could also set up a temporary task force. This is what Dunn is telling me, that task forces for some reason are not subject to the Brown Act. Jeff. Yes.
Laura has been very involved in this. I'd like to remind everyone that the presidents were given the authority to be able to spend this money.
The first 5.
Laura,
The first
yeah,
5.
and yes, and Laura has been working within the constraints that we're dealing with today, but she has also been reaching out to various different communities and various different projects and keeping us looped in as CD10 as how we can participate and help as well. So aside from the fact that we're not supposed to be discussing this, I will say Laura has absolutely been doing the right thing by reaching out to you individually and getting your input and thoughts without violating any Brown Act.
Right. Well, the other thing I want to say is I did the big ask, and Jeff was on the teleconference with Dunn. I did the big ask where I asked, you know, Dunn, can I take the remaining 4,000 divided into, for example, 2 funds, two funds of $2,000, or 4 funds each of $1,000, and label them Fund A, Fund B, Fund C, and Fund D, and assign different board members to advise on each of those discrete funds. And what they said, no. And I asked it, Jeff can confirm, in multiple different ways. So that's a non-starter. And again, one of the reasons why I'd like to up the amount via the board and then set up a task force is to engage more board members in the decision making. I mean, that's really my goal, is how to get our board members back engaged. Dorit, was that a real hand?
It's a real hand. Let's just say, we'll put it on the next agenda, which will be May 7th. We hope it will be, and we will think positive thoughts. Put on the agenda to discuss moving around funds. You'll have more information by then. Board members can do their own research, and at the board meeting, we can hash it out there.
That's fine. That's fine. So is our recommendation, it's not just as an agenda item, but that we would support budget reallocations, but to be determined by the board? Would that be the?
That sounds beautiful.
Yes.
Does anybody remember what I just said?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
But it's being
Do our
recorded.
own research and hash out at the next meeting.
Right. That we support, but you know, this body recommends and supports potential budget reallocations to be, I don't know if hashed out, but I did say hashed out at the board meeting. You know.
So we'll support the executive committee supports moving budget funds into emergency.
No,
Funds.
I'm right. I'm just writing it down. I realize that's the purpose of a chat room. That, recommends and supports potential reallocation of budget of UNNC's budget. To be, what's a better word for hashed out? To be determined, discussed and determined. Yeah. Determined. Oh, you guys can't see me.
Brainstorm
Yeah.
options.
At the governing board meeting. Okay, I'm hitting enter. Does that look like a good motion?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
I think Jeff
Question.
still has his hand up, by the way.
Who has his hand up?
Jeff.
Jeff.
Sorry, go ahead. Got a phone call.
Okay,
What was the question?
your hand is up.
No, I never unraised it. Sorry.
Okay. And Greg, you're clapping?
No, that's my hand is up.
Hand up. Greg,
You want a thumb? Do you want a thumb? Or do you
I
want
don't
a hand
care. I
up?
just
Okay. All right.
I don't care.
Okay. All right. So we're just looking at for this current fiscal year. We're not looking at.
Correct.
Okay. Very good.
Correct. This would be monies we have in theory in hand, but
Okay.
we can't vote on that tonight. We can only recommend anyway.
Right.
Right.
And we're looking at it from the standpoint of funds that will probably not be used because of the current climate, and
Correct.
we want to make sure that they are used properly so they don't
Correct.
sit stale. Okay, got it.
Right.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right.
So what? Okay, good.
Okay. So I need to call a vote, and I see
I second the
Sai is
motion.
listening. So all in. Oh, who's the second on this motion?
I'd second it. I
Okay.
will second the motion.
All in favor? Dorit, yes. Greg, yes. Asai, you're listening but doing something for a bit. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm a yes. So 4 yeses. Isaac is absent.
And Paula,
Yeah, no, but your executive committee, the only voters are the officers for this.
okay.
Thank you. Okay,
Can I add a note to that?
sure.
To that issue? I think what I should do in preparation for that is look at the allocation of funds and
Right.
what may not be used so that we can have a better idea of
Right,
from here to the end of the year.
right.
The dollar amount.
I think we have paid at this point all of our ongoing administrative expenses, because the credit card that I have in hand has been used a lot lately for GoDaddy and the post office PO box and a lot of those basic costs. I don't think others are coming up, and we won't have any more meals for this
Right.
fiscal year. So
Right.
those kind of office expenses, I think,
Yes.
are done
Yes.
for the year.
Yes. Okay. Sounds
Okay.
good. I have a task.
Okay. All right, item B, upcoming UNNC Governing Board meeting agenda items. I don't think we want to have 25 action items
No.
by any means.
No.
No, I mean, no. I've been attending quite a few other neighborhood council board meetings, and the thing about Zoom is it does take longer to have these discussions. That's good because we're all actually participating. But I did go to, I think it was Atwater Village, and at 10, they started at 7, I ended at 10. I had to go home, and they still had 5 or 6 items to go. So I think we need a relatively short agenda. Also, we have been receiving a lot of emails from the city controller's office. They wanted to do a presentation whenever we have another board meeting. That I'm not opposed to, if they can keep it to 10 minutes. What do you guys think? Because it's all about the budget, so I think.
If it's about the budget, I agree with that. Personally, I'd like to keep the agenda small because I think there's going to be a lot of hashing out of the budget stuff,
Right.
of what to do with the rest of this. So the fewer items that we're racing through at the end, the better.
Right.
So we can really get into the meat of what we're doing.
Right. So I unless something really comes up important, it would not be my recommendation to include land use items. I'm not going to try to have a planning and zoning committee meeting on Zoom at this point because that screen sharing component would be really important. I don't know how we do it where everybody can see plans and designs and things like that. So not my intention to include any planning and zoning unless it's imperative. There is something that a number of us have been advocating for, an item for citywide, it would impact us, which would be a very temporary moratorium on demolitions until the COVID crisis is really over. And by that, I mean the economic impacts. So that's not going to go through my committee because I'm not going to have a committee, but I'll probably put it on the governing board agenda. Greg, I think you need to check in with Shauna because I think we have to start doing the administrative packet for next year's budget at the May meeting. Although maybe they will give us more time and more ability to get used to Zoom before we have to do that, because that again would involve an awful lot of screen sharing. So I'm not really sure I want to do that on our first board Zoom meeting.
Isn't that the meeting where we do the inventory of and all that as well?
It's everything, yes.
So it's gonna be really impossible to do an inventory for when our stuff's at an office we don't have access to.
Correct. Correct. So where our stuff's in an office that even the people who work in that office don't have access to. Is that right, Jeff? Where did Jeff go? Well, never mind. Jeff's on a call, that's right. Never mind.
I also think that Dunn, that's providing guidelines on how we should do these meetings, they should have a few minutes to share their guidelines with us. If Thomas wants to come and present 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, well, they haven't shared them with us yet. Maybe they will share them then.
Okay.
So maybe what Greg is saying, we should invite them to come and give us some information?
Well, yes, meaning encourage them because they're always on the agenda as invitees.
Right, right.
Well, we'll send them a proper invite.
Right.
Online thingies.
Well, let me just tell you, the bigger issue is they, at the moment, seem to be disinterested. Yeah, Steve just said he believes it'll be shared during the trainings, but I can't even tell if it's truly one size fits all that they're trying to give us to do, or if they're going to allow neighborhood councils to do what they usually do. But the problem is, at the moment, they're saying the training for Zoom meetings will be limited to board members, and they're not going to make it available to stakeholders, even stakeholders who might be chairs of committees or in charge of certain tasks.
And what are these calls there? They said they were calling all of us and they needed 100% response to their calls from, I think it was from Ocampo.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Well, an email from, I think it was
Today?
yes, about the time-sensitive response to.
Well, we have, that's our next agenda item. We do have some board members who are late on their trainings.
Okay.
I don't have a copy of that email, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I thought that was about Zoom training and.
Well, no, it's time sensitive. They want you to take the survey about the unknown Zoom thing that they haven't revealed yet. They said preview of our Zoom, but if you click on it, it's not a preview. I have a phone meeting scheduled tomorrow with Tom Sung about this issue.
Okay.
Could Greg or somebody, could you guys forward me that email, because it's an email I haven't gotten because I still don't get a lot of emails.
Sure. On it.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, so for Any other general agenda items? I mean, that wouldn't be normally on the agenda that anyone can think of? Okay. So we're not going to do a specific agenda tonight. Moving on, board member trainings and attendance review. I am trying to get a clear picture from Dunn. Clarity is not their long suit. Who exactly has really not done their training. So for example, they emailed me and said that Janie hadn't done ethics, and Janie pissily looked for and found her confirmation and the certificate that she'd done the ethics. And they didn't apologize. They just said, oh yeah, we've added you. So I have a list of board members. I'm not going to share it here, but I'm working on trying to get full information as to who's really not taking their trainings versus whoever is, quote, rosters at Empower. I mean, whoever that person is, they're really bad. For example, Dorit, you should have been getting all the emails because I've given them your email 7 times, maybe 8 times.
I get them on occasion.
Right. Greg?
No, I'm just counting 7. I'm just entertaining myself.
You're entertaining yourself.
Entertaining yourself. Okay.
Instead of turning around and playing the
I know.
Okay, so I think the April 30th deadline that they mentioned though today in the email is their way of saying that anybody who hasn't taken the prior trainings is subject to being booted from the board. So I'm keen on getting this resolved, and I've been trying hard to get it resolved. So, and that is all I can say, because I don't think I should say who the people are other than Janie, who was incorrect. Okay.
Can I ask how many there are? You can't say whom.
Yeah,
but
I
maybe
can tell you that. Hang on. Give me a moment. One, 2, 3, 4.
There are 9 participating.
Yeah, no, but it's there are 8. Oops, where am I? 8 people on the list. 3 different kinds of training, so it's not 8 people who have all not done it 3 things, but it's 8 people total. But that would decimate our board if they can't resolve that within 10 days.
do we know if any of those people didn't take the training because the world shut down? I mean,
No, well,
there's a couple of,
no. I mean, yes, we know that's not the reason.
I can give
And
the
they're
real
going to fix
reason.
this April 30th deadline even with this shutdown?
Well, I think their point is that all of the people on the list are well past the 4-month limit. It's just my concern is I don't think the list is accurate.
some of us have not been here for 4 months. I know Hugo and I have been here, like, we had 1 meeting before everything happened. And I think there was a couple of, like, besides Greg, there was 3 other new people before that. So that's all less than
But that's
4
not
months.
who's on the list.
Oh,
Right.
silly me.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate. One person who's on the list, it might be accurate because she just slipped off the good list into the bad list because her training expired, but they've got her on the list as if she was in the bad group. So, but she
Well, there
does have to
also
take
could
the
be-
training again.
It also could be that she doesn't have internet access or life has gotten, I mean, we've got to make some kind of concessions for people. And Dunn needs to understand that some people need concessions made for them because not everyone has got a city paycheck coming in.
Exactly. No, exactly. I just don't know how much power and control. I mean, everything I'm asking for, they're saying no. Like they didn't post this agenda, but they were perfectly fine with posting a cancellation for next week of the Jefferson Park Community Safety Meeting. The first response was, we're just unable, we don't have staff to support the neighborhood councils these days. When I gave them the other agenda, they posted it within 25 minutes. So they're being
I have to say,
ornery.
I have to say, I think this board should take some kind of, like, write a letter. If they're going to kick off members of our board who have been good members, but their certificate expired after the period of time it expired during a time when they may not have had access to the ability to take the training because they're worried about, family members or whatever. I think that they shouldn't be kicked off the board because of that. And I think if that happens, we ought to really send a letter to Dunn saying, Jane Smith has been a good board member.
Can you
Life
guys,
happens.
I have to walk away for one moment. Excuse me.
Well, hi, Greg.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm
Okay,
doing
so
great.
good. My only, hold on, I have several screens, so I need to switch back to the screen. My only thing about most of the training is online.
Right.
And so I know in the
Guys,
past
I'm sorry, I'm back.
we
Sorry.
could just go to the website and just pull the list and just remind people that did you take the training. So
Okay.
I don't think we
Well, I was trying not to call the individuals out. We could do that.
don't.
No, but Greg was saying something about, was explaining to me something, and I'm going to respond to that. I just feel, I have no idea who it's about or anything, but I feel if someone's time has expired and they haven't renewed it and the Dunn is going to harsh them, I'm like, maybe they didn't have internet access. Maybe life got so overwhelming for them they couldn't take the 2 hours to take the stupid training. So
And
Jeff is raising his hand here.
Jeff.
Thank you. Let me lower my hand.
I was saying, because your hand's been up for a while, but you were on a phone call.
Yeah, because you know.
I came back. I unmuted.
Here you are. Okay, hi, Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Dunn is using this opportunity to bring everybody back up to par. The majority of our board, of UNNC's board, has not taken the hour or 2 hour, and in my case, I'm still dealing with my city county ethics training, which is 3 hours long. It is a lot of people who, and I don't have access to the names or the information, but it's a lot of people who just haven't sat their ass down to take the training and follow through with an email or whatever that they did it.
Yeah.
I understand that.
I think it needs to be communicated from the executive committee down to the board level that you are jeopardizing your board position.
All right.
I hate the fact that Dunn is making sure before we get, quote, a UNNC Zoom, until everybody is caught up with their required testing and or
I can agree with that.
It's just something that has to be done, and as an executive committee, you guys need to communicate that down.
Okay, Paula has.
I can agree with that. I did my training the night that I was able to. I understand, but I'm also saying that we have some board members who don't have the luxury of maybe spending 2 hours during this complete meltdown that's happening. Some people are looking at being evicted. Some people are looking at losing their gigs. So I think that we need to be kind, and Dunn has to be kind to some people who may not have the best situation. So that's all I was saying.
Okay, Paula has her hand raised. Paula?
Yes, my question, are all of these trainings computer trainings?
Actually, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. 5 have simply not signed the code of conduct. And, I actually 2 emails ago to the board, or maybe 3 emails ago to the board, attached the damn code of conduct and said, just sign them and send this in, or send it to me. So I will do that again.
But my point exactly, Paula, to your question, that's simply a matter of reading something that takes 2 minutes, agreeing to sign it, and hitting send.
Well, well, agreeing to sign it if you do it online, but they're allowed to actually print, sign, and send it back to me. That one thing does not require it be done online, but it does require that you print and sign it and scan it and send it somewhere. So I will send that email out again. Greg?
Madam President, do you need any assistance with contacting people and then coaching them through, this is the website and this is the link to do the training? I'm more than willing to do that because I'm looking at the list that's on the website. So I'm willing to help them, to help you scrub that with them and contact them, remind them
Well,
if what's on the website is correct.
Yeah, so I have a phone meeting tomorrow morning because that's the big with Thomas Sung, because I asked that very question. If you guys, meaning Dunn, have been calling all of these people, what's the update? Who have you reached?
My question.
Hi, Paula. Paula? Go ahead.
Yes, I said that would be my question. Do these people know?
Well, I've emailed that very question several times to Octaviano and to Thomas. At some point, you can hear my frustration. It's like, come on, you guys, just communicate the answer. So I have a phone call scheduled with Thomas tomorrow, because I don't want us to be going out, Greg, and saying, hey, so-and-so, did you, what's going on? If in fact they've handled it and they just didn't tell us. Dunn didn't tell us. So I'm trying to see if that list is shorter. Because again, I called Janie. So I started at the top of the list. I called Janie and it was like, I took that test, and she was right. I mean, she actually was right. And she had to go back and search an email and send them everything, and they were wrong and she was right.
Right. Yes, I understand that, but that's still a delay, and it's a day of initial contact. This is what I have. If it's not correct, let's work together to get it correct.
Greg, I'm saying yes, I'd love for you to help with that.
Yes.
And we can't call him tonight.
No, I'm not calling anybody tonight.
So it's not going to be a much further delay. Paula, is your hand still up?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Let me take it down.
All right.
I'm not sure if that's an action item for me.
I know. I don't think we need to vote.
Okay.
We do have a problem with some attendance of board meeting members. We haven't seen Jorge George, Sanchez, in months or heard from him. And Asai, if you're there, I don't know if Asai is there.
I am.
Yeah, I think your job is to reach out to George for sure. And does anyone know if Tracy, as you may know, Tracy's house was, she's a renter in Jefferson Park, and the house she was renting, the owner moved back. So she was looking for another place to live. Does anyone know if she succeeded to continue to live in that neighborhood? Because she hasn't been responsive, and she had said she might have to leave the board. So nobody knows. Okay, I will try her again to find out that. So we have not been doing a great job of attendance, but those are the two that were of most concern to me. And Isaac, because he's had some, the health issues and his mom dying, but I'm not concerned about him at the moment. So that's, I don't think we had other board attendance issues. Asai? Hello? Okay, he's sort of paying attention, sort of not. Moving on.
Oh, okay.
Moving on. Item next is executive and governing board policies, duties, and procedures. That's a standing item. But now it's what I have as the sub item is the discussion of potentially posting draft minutes on the UNNC website and potentially other adjustments to our prior procedures due to, well, basically Zoom meetings, or the way we have done it in the past isn't necessarily the way we can do it now. So for example, Dorit and I were discussing, could she send a copy of the minutes to all of us so we could approve the minutes tonight? And the answer really is no, because that violates the Brown Act. We have to post it, but they're draft minutes. And our policy has been forever that we don't post draft minutes in advance. I think we need to change that policy so that as we do more virtual meetings, the things that are the documents that we are going to be using at board meetings have to be made available to everyone in the public. And so and we've been doing that with certain planning cases and stuff, but we've never done it with draft minutes. So that's what this one's about, is like kind of evaluating what procedures need to be changed. And that would be the first thing that comes to my mind. What say you all?
Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
Okay. Well, my first question is, what guidance has the city provided to us on that? I mean,
Well, this is a Brown Act question, not a city question. And maybe Jeff knows why we don't post draft minutes.
Because we've never done it. Like you suggested and said, we've done it for,
Just the same way from the beginning.
Big planning documents, and this is something that Raheem is going to need to weigh in on too.
Yeah, and
you need to be so in advance of your agenda so that when the physical agenda is being sent out both through UNNC, electronically, on social media, and even posted, there's a physical link to our website where those documents have already been deposited.
Correct.
It is possible and can be done, but you need to set up like a backwards calendar. So for example, your meeting is happening, hopefully, fingers crossed, on May 7th. So how many days from May 7th within the Brown Act and posting guidelines can you have all that up into the cloud on our website before you put out the physical agenda?
Right. But okay, so that's an issue, but the other issue, the more core issue here, I know, Dorit, I saw your hand, but the core issue is, can that document package include draft minutes? Dorit.
When I was on another neighborhood council, it was always there. All the items that were going to be on the agenda were always on the, were always posted. We're posted in our physical posting location. And it, sometimes it was over 100 pages, but it still was posted in the physical posted location, and it was posted on the website. So it can be done. There's no done rules saying it can't be.
Right. What the city
Correct,
attorney, oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to give a sort of answer. For the Cultural Heritage Commission meeting, which was last Friday, and for the Planning Commission meeting, which is this coming Thursday, virtual meetings, they just are doing an associated Google Drive so that you can follow along on your computer. And I will tell you, it was not a great plan, because the documents in Google Drive, some of them were 100 megabytes, so they were not actually displaying properly. So people should have been kind of warned to go in early and download them. Obviously, we're going to have to do that one way or another. I mean, on our website, on a Google Drive, and we're going to have to do that. But I'm at a core question on the draft minutes. Craig, were you about to say something?
Okay, well, yeah, I'm going back to my original statement. I would ask Dunn in the city for their guidelines on that. But my thoughts are that if we post draft minutes and put draft on them for information purposes, that's letting people know. But let's find out, let's get in line with what the city wants by asking them the questions, so that we don't start something and then they say we're doing it wrong. So let's just make it easy for ourselves, say, or we can start by saying, this is what we're thinking of doing. What do you think? And they say yes, putting draft just put the watermark draft on the documents would be, inform the public that's not the official minutes, but it's for their consideration. But we can ask their permission or ask them to weigh in, so we don't waste time.
Okay.
Those are my thoughts on it.
Okay, Paula, your hand is still up. Do you have a comment?
I did star 9 again to take it down, but it didn't.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I guess you have to take me down.
All right, I'll do that. Let's see.
And-
Look,
And since I have the floor, so the concern is it takes too long to wait for the official approved minutes, and it would be expedient to include the draft minutes to at least have, for the public and the board, to have some idea
right.
of what's coming. Yeah, I agree with Greg. If they would agree to put draft on the document, I don't see what the problem would be.
Yeah, I think this has only just been our own pattern and procedures. I imagine I can find out. But UNNC just has never, ever, ever posted drafts for the minutes. So doesn't mean we can't. I'll add that to my conversation tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
And then are we going to put that on the agenda for the board to decide as well, or are we just going to make an executive committee decision?
No. Assuming, I think we have to change the policy.
So it'd be on next month's agenda
Yeah.
if your conversation makes you think you can do that.
Is that a paragraph in the bylaws or a section of the bylaws, or?
It's not in the bylaws. It may or may not be in the standing. I think it's just been a practice. I think
Okay.
people just don't normally look at post publicly draft minutes.
Right, I agree.
But we
Yeah.
just have no way otherwise now with virtual meetings, because
Yes.
we can't have a pile in the back of the room of the minutes for people to look at.
Right, understood.
Right. Okay, so moving on. I don't know if there's any other adjustments we need to make to procedures. Well, actually there is. I'm not sure what exactly Donna's going to tell us. What I have told them, based on my going to all these other meetings, is it's very clear that to run a meeting with a lot of people, you have to have the chair. That would be me for this meeting. You have to have a moderator who's watching for the raised hands or in the chat box, or even getting a text from somebody saying, I really want to talk on this. The moderator keeps kind of a running track and tells the chair who's in line to speak on an item. That'd be another thing. We need to have the thing we don't have, a parliamentarian. We don't need the title, but we definitely need to have someone who's really watching the time. And we've never done that really. Asai's been doing it a little bit. He got negative feedback on that. But we'll definitely need to have somebody who's saying, if the time limit is 2 minutes, they say 30-second call, and then at 2 minutes, say your time is up, so that the host/chair either can extend the time or move on to the next person. So that's a procedure we do not have currently. Dunn may or may not be suggesting a parliamentarian, but what I've noticed attending these city meetings is they just cut people off. They don't give them a 30-second warning. So I don't think we want to do that either.
No, we don't want to do that.
We could assign the role, if we don't want to keep it in the VP's role, we could assign it to the second signer who doesn't really have that big of a.
That's me.
Sorry, what is Isaac's title?
Isaac is the signatory, but he
Signatory. I'm terribly sorry. So we could sign it to the signator, because that role really isn't doing a whole lot more during meetings.
Yes, if he's present.
I think the vice
not him as a
president should
person,
take
but
that.
we could decide who gets which title gets the role.
I'm comfortable with the vice president taking care of that issue.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm saying is I'd like to engage another person. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you guys, but I'm
I'm
feeling we've lost some engagement on our board. So if we could engage an additional person, and
I
the
mean, just
question would also
assign
be,
somebody.
it could be assigned to each meeting, but the point, it's not our normal procedure, really. You know, we try and do it every once in a while. We set times and then we sort of watch the time. But with these meetings, we're going to have to. Craig?
I think that if going into these form of meetings is an opportune time for us to talk about starting on time, about the time limit set for each agenda item, about just briefing people that things will be timed, and to say who's going to take care of that. And those rules would apply to us as well as anyone else speaking, because sometimes we speak more than the other people that are in the audience. So we consume a lot of time with what we're sharing with them. So those rules, we will have to model this by what we do and what we say, and I'll focus on our agenda, starting on time, ending on time, and time limits. And I think the vice president is the ideal person to handle this task for us.
Okay.
I think it's
I
in his
agree. I
wheelhouse.
agree. It should be an executive committee member who's that role always will do it. I don't really care if it can't be treasurer or secretary or chair, because those roles are too darn busy. But the other two aren't as busy, so they could take the role. They could take the position on.
Okay. Jeff?
Yes, I would like to say I agree with everybody. I have been in that chair. I have been in many of those chairs, from treasurer to secretary to president to even vice president's the one thing I didn't do. If the board so wills it, I would be more than happy to be a moderator for the meeting that handles the chats, the raised hands, you know, the timing, the questions. I need to be there for UNNC anyway, and this is a capacity that I could readily and happily fulfill.
Okay.
And
So-
Isaac,
Go ahead.
The VP has already said he'll do the gig. He just
Right.
typed in that he'll do it. So,
Okay.
so
Well,
I think we've got enough volunteers who want to be hold people's feet to the fire time wise.
We have backup. There we go. I like that. Some depth.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is take a look at our standing rules and make sure that they don't say you have to do this, you have to do that, you can't do this. So and see how it's going to compare to what done. They may get around to telling us something or not. Okay, moving on. I know nobody is here from that bylaws committee, so we don't have an update from them. The only update I have about bylaws is if we wanted to do anything with our bylaws, the new deadline is in early June. So I don't know that there is anything we want to do with our bylaws, because I'm not sure that Cordell, Nancy, two other people, I'm not remembering who they were, have even talked about it yet. And that's another committee that can go ahead and meet, because it's a temporary committee. They actually can have a Zoom meeting, but they don't seem to be wanting to. Then the next item is our comments that seem to not exist. Am I sounding frustrated? On the city's sidewalk repair program, which was all about the trees and how they calculated the trees. So I'm gonna go ahead and send an email that the NC Sustainability Alliance has asked us to send again, which is asking for a further extension of time because of the COVID crisis, and nobody's really focused on it. But I don't know that there'll be a further extension of time. And if there isn't, I will just send in the motion we made, which is not exactly a comment on a draft EIR, because I don't see that committee getting together and doing it unless somebody objects.
In the next 2 days, I don't think they're going to do it either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm frustrated because I'm working my little ass off, but I also understand how bad this crisis is for everybody and in different ways. So, okay, treasurer's report. Oh,
Can we just, well, when was the last time we heard from that team, that committee that's working on the sidewalk issue? And if we haven't heard from them,
we have heard nothing except for when I've picked up the phone and ragged both Elizabeth and on Chris. I don't mean ragged in a mean way,
right,
but it's Elizabeth Fenner, it's Chris
Right.
Carlson, it's
Right.
Kyle and Dan.
Okay.
Yeah, so
okay,
I've not really heard from, I haven't heard that they have even talked to each other.
okay. So do we want to just ask them one last time? Will they have a
Yes.
report? And then before we move on, okay, just
Yeah.
give them that courtesy. Okay, treasury report. So,
Uh-huh.
so I am going to share my screen
Okay,
and
and I don't, that's interesting because I had disabled share screen, but you managed to get in the last time, but now I'm not seeing it. Oh, Greg is, there he is.
Yay, Greg won.
yay. Okay, so on this report, the major, let me move everyone over this side. Okay, the major item that we had for this report was right here where we were going to move $5,000 to the neighborhood purpose grant. And we submitted that I was having a memory lapse this morning, but we submitted that on March the 5th. And then I confirmed with Shauna that she says she has that, but it's not reflected on this MERS. So we did do a budget adjustment to cover this amount. Right? That's the one issue. Okay. Then going down, any questions so far?
No.
Okay, and then we have our, and again, I'm not going to go over each action, but we have credit card payments that we've made. Also, this Friends of Jefferson Library, that was pending for a very long time, but that finally went through back from October. So that's good. I'm happy about
I mean, they
that.
cashed a check.
Yes, they cashed the check.
Yay.
Yes. And then and things always seems to be, it's a recurring payment. So that's there. And so, yeah.
Greg,
Yes,
we'll need
yes.
to, Greg, this has to be an agenda item, right? We have to approve it on May 7.
Yes, yes, we need to approve it, but I don't know if it's going to change between the budget adjustment that we submitted, if that's going to show before that time. Hopefully it does, because she says she has the documents.
All right.
But that's my only concern about this MERS, because I wanted to reflect what we actually did in the month of March for us, the budget adjustment.
Okay, so what I'm seeing is under the combined category of office outreach and elections, an unspent amount of $24,646.
Yes,
But that does not reflect that we've transferred some of that money to
that's
neighborhood.
correct. That's only $5,000 we transferred.
So that actually
19,
means 19
yes.
plus 1,000 is 20. And
Yes.
yet a different document of yours said 21. Oh,
20,
unspent money of 21.
net available 21,000.
Right. So my math would make it 20, but that's okay. I mean, we'll figure it out. What?
No, look up here. Look at for the
Yes.
total. Look at this amount.
I can't look all the way to the right unless you reduce the size of this.
Oh, you
Because
can't see that?
our faces are in the way.
Our faces are in the way, so you have to, if you
Well,
can
move it.
show us a
Move it.
view, either
Okay.
slide it to your left or show us a smaller smaller view.
Okay, hold on. Let me slide my thing over so that I could make,
Yeah, if you just do
This one.
75%, oh, there we go.
Yay.
okay.
So is this how much we have left? The 22,04160?
Maybe.
No, because this MERS does not reflect,
Oh,
the-
yeah.
doesn't reflect the budget transfer.
It
And so-
also, right, it also does not reflect quite a number of administrative payments
Yes,
that have happened since then,
right.
or are, for GoDaddy and the post office box and things like that. So it's probably over $1,000 out the door for that.
Yeah. So I would say more like 22,622 is a closer figure.
But by the board meeting, so we can discuss, hash out the budget, you're gonna have a very accurate-ish idea of how much we still have left, right?
I will bring to us the categories that are recurring payments that we could possibly move money from. Like this is a recurring payment, like Laura mentioned a few, like the food money. That
Oh, yeah, and you know what? This is showing all those many of the big expenses.
Yes.
So that's good. Okay.
But we're not gonna need, there's gonna be money from like the neighborhood purpose grants that are not gonna happen, like the Easter egg hunt or the spring, whatever we call
Yes.
it.
All gone.
Yes.
Or the walk on Washington is not gonna happen.
Yes.
Right.
So let me bring up another document. Hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry. Jeff Camp has his hands up.
Okay.
Thank you. Just an FYI for you guys, there's a topic on the city council meeting happening tomorrow that Rue and Bonin and others have done. I've already reached out to our legislative department to see if we can take the stance that all funds are rolled over regardless of the $10,000 amount.
Yeah.
I don't have that answer yet, but
Right.
the communication chain has already been open.
Right. Yeah, Jeff, we sort of know that, but that could even be approved tomorrow. But then when we get to approving the city budget, they could give with one hand and take with the other. They could say, but we can only give them $25,000, not 32 next year. So hopefully we're going to know what all the dollars are before May 7th. Yeah, because that's the key.
And we could, yes, we'll discuss it at that meeting too.
All right.
I'll save all my hashings for then.
Okay.
Right.
Great work, Greg.
Yeah. So Greg,
Okay,
I'm glad you put this up because it's showing now that 4,250 additional Clean Street Challenge awards and footnote 7. But from as near as I can tell, Shauna did not use those funds to pay for the Jefferson Park Community Improvement Project. She just took it from regular funds.
Okay.
And I don't even see it anywhere on this. This is a budget, right? Not a.
Yes. This
Right.
is the latest. This is what I sent in for our latest budget
Right.
adjustment. But this will be used as you look at the different footnotes. Any funds that we set aside, this is like planning funds. Any
Right.
funds that we have planned that we have not expended yet, those are funds that we will have available for
Right.
events. So I
Okay,
look.
so if you look at this, Fire Station Day will never be spent. Never ever this fiscal year. Walk on Washington was voted on but not spent.
Right.
Jazz Festival was spent. National Night Out was spent. The Winter Festival, not that amount, but it was spent. CD10 Movies in the Park was spent, whatever the amount was. Those monies are spent in this fiscal year. But the question becomes, because we also have to do next year's budget, what are we doing with next fiscal year? I mean, I know we're digressing, but some of these things may not happen. So I'm glad Jeff, your hand is still up, but do you have any clue if we could even consider having a CD10 Movies in the Park series this summer?
Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. Right.
Neither is jazz.
Jazz Festival's not happening?
But that's next year's budget.
No. But this is pertinent, however, because
we usually approve the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Yeah.
In May. Are we going
to discuss May's budget? Are we going to discuss next year's budget at our May meeting?
I think in broad brushstrokes, because we have to give Greg marching orders so he can bring a final back for June for us to approve.
Okay.
But it's also important to know. So Jeff, I'm going back. So for sure, you guys, not CD10, but the Avenues decided not to do the Jazz Festival this year.
There's September projections have us going out till Labor Day, and that's
Okay.
the Jazz Festival, and we will still, because there will be no vaccination whatsoever.
Right.
For COVID, we're not about to bring 8,000 people together.
Okay. No, I don't need an explanation. The main reason I'm asking the question is it makes me a little more comfortable if we want to go ahead and spend down our money this year, knowing we have a smaller budget next year, if what we also know is that $3,000, $4,000, almost $5,000 ain't going to be spent because two big things are canceled for next year.
It's not going to happen. If anything, put aside $1,000 for support to figure out how we come up with a Zoom Jazz Festival.
Yeah, wow. Now,
guys, I don't mean to be all like harshy or anything or timekeepy, but I have another meeting at 8:30.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
yeah, it's more detailed.
All right. So
the general concept was that anything that can be extracted out, I'll bring that to our meeting.
All right. Perfect.
I'll color code it too.
Right.
Current proposed movement.
Okay, so I will close this item by just saying on the walk on Washington, which we have no idea if we can do a walk on Washington, but we do know that our merchants on Jefferson and Washington are surely going to need marketing support when this is over. I don't know what we should do exactly, but there's an event that didn't happen farther to the west called Pico, and they had to cancel it, but they changed it to something called Click Pico, and I've heard this from my brother, so I don't know exactly what happened, but they made a whole big online thing supporting the Pico Boulevard merchants. So I think we will want to keep broadly speaking, a walk on Washington on our thing, even though it won't be what we were thinking it was.
but it won't happen this fiscal year, right?
It's it didn't happen this fiscal year. We had already voted on March 5 to move it to July or August.
Right.
And to try to move the money forward to that time. We have a vote on that already.
Right. I remember I was like going to be right before school started.
Exactly. Jeff, is your hand really still up, or do I just need to disable it? Okay. So to Dorit's point, we don't need to keep looking at this, I think.
I don't think we do. I don't think there's nothing for us to vote on this. Huh?
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Right.
So committee updates?
Only that.
Let me stop.
Committee updates only that, again, there's a bunch of planning documents, but I don't think the cases are moving forward. As you may know, I've spent a heck of a lot of time advocating. So on March 21st, thanks to the help of Council District 10, Council District 8, Council District 13, and Nuri Martinez, whatever council district she's in, the mayor issued one of his emergency orders to toll, which means suspend, the mandatory time limits in the municipal code and the administrative code. So for all kinds of things, including planning cases. So they're not on hold necessarily, but there's no urgent matter that has to move forward because the city doesn't lose jurisdiction. And then on Friday, another round of advocacy, the mayor then extended that emergency order, and frankly, all the other emergency orders, he did a kind of blanket, they're all extended until such time as the whole emergency is over, so we don't have to keep worrying about that. So that was stuff to do with the housing department. Everything is extended, and including this, what they call tolling. However, we still have an issue because the planning department did not yet cancel the hearing for 1537 Wilton Place, and instead the little old lady who's in her 80s, who's the appellant, is at the moment still being expected to somehow participate in the planning commission meeting via her broken phone that only sort of works on speaker, as a call-in presenter for the planning commission. And we've all been working really hard to have them continue that case till such time as, either she has better technology or they can accommodate her in a better way, or they have a meeting. So that's my report. Any other committee reports? Probably not. Hearing none. Old business. Greg, you wanted to talk about, you actually had one email me saying you want to talk about something. Yep.
I'm just curious about the homelessness on Washington by those stores, that 99-cent store, and going around the corner, going towards CD10. What are practices and policies, and what CD10? How are we serving that community? How are we trying to house them? Thank you, Dory. Thank you. So, what has been offered to these individuals, or do we know that they just want to stay there, or
engagement does go out. That is in what's called SPA 4, because it's on one side of the street. The other side of the street would be SPA 6, which is the way how the county divides up everything.
Okay.
I do know the outreach workers because I've spoken to them from the People Concerned and from the Saban Clinic. They have gone out. There is no place to put people. There is some hotel rooms, which are almost all, the ones we've got are almost all full, and the hotel rooms are set aside for people who have certain disabilities or who are ill with COVID but not symptomatic. There are shelters. The shelters are 96% full. The new shelter, the rec center shelters are open. A couple more are going to be opening soon. So there really isn't a lot of places for people to go. Having them working with case managers from the different organizations who can then help them get into whatever housing there's available to them is our best hope. I personally, I'm a board member and a founder of a nonprofit called the Neighborhood Homeless Coalition. Outside of that nonprofit, because we're not located here, my husband and I are planning on doing engagement this week, Friday, with that population. We usually go up by the cemetery, which I know isn't in UNNC, it's a block away from my house. We usually go up to the cemetery and work with the guys there, but we're gonna go over down to the Western Washington area on Friday. And I'm just gonna talk to people, who you working with? Do you need to be linked back to your case manager? Help them find out who their case manager is, because I can look them up in the database to find out who they're matched with, and let them know how to get back in if they're actually looking to get services now. But there's so few opportunities for housing or for services, and so many unhoused people.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dodie.
Right. And I do want to point out there's at least 2 other encampments within our footprint, probably more, but one at 4th and Washington on the southeast side of the street, and another one at Adams and Bronson on, actually you have to wrap down south onto Bronson. There's another big encampment there. There probably are some others, but I just want to also make clear, the one thing UNNC cannot do is purchase things and then hand them out at any of these encampments. We'd have to be partnered with a nonprofit. is one of the things I'm struggling with. And then some sort of guarantee, which I don't see how you get, that anything we were to purchase, socks, tents, blankets, whatever, actually are then distributed within our footprint. So it's one of the things I'm looking into.
It's
Yes,
having
Jen?
trust. It's having trust with the agency we're working with, and if they want to come back and get funds or services later, they're going to have to answer to, okay, we distributed. You gave us 200 pairs of socks. We distributed 50 pairs at this location, 20 pairs at that location, and just like any other grant we would do, just a matter of trust.
Right. Right. I see. I know that Jeff has his hands up. Yeah, no, the way we'd have to do it at the moment with the emergency funding is I'd have to know from the nonprofit, they'd have to give me a list of where they are distributing, and then Dunn would have to say, yep, that's okay. And then at the back end, I'd want to report, but it's the front end that I can't even get approval of the funds. Unless they listed the homeless encampments that I just listed and any others and estimated a total of, 47 people, I mean, whatever. And this is what we need. So it'd have to be something that specific.
Are we going to discuss that in the meeting of what to do with the funds?
Yes.
Okay. I hate to be a,
No, we have to adjourn.
all right.
Jeff had his hand up, but his hands went back down. So are we good?
I just wanted to say that all of the hot spots that you mentioned, the issue with that is, and Dorit, you addressed that matter. Service organizations are constantly going out to these locations, but they are not taking the services. So,
or they're not being offered services they need.
I understand that, but these are people who are still choosing to remain on the street, even though we are trying to give them locations and places. And yes, the Park and Rec is filling up. The Project Room Key is filling up. But those who are accepting services are getting into Project Room Key and the Rec and Park services.
Well, Rec and Park services, you can walk in. You don't even have to be linked to anybody.
Yeah, no, I know. I hear you.
And there isn't enough shelters for people to go to. But that's a debate we could have later.
Right. Because Dorit needs to leave, and I don't know if Greg had his hands up or he's saying, good, let's leave. Good, let's leave. Okay. So I think we then need to adjourn.
It's a good meeting. Make a motion that we adjourn.
Well, I can't. You made the motion to.
I made the motion to adjourn.
I'm a second by adjourning. Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Hi, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye,
Take
Raheem.
care.
Asai and everybody.
Shalom.
Okay. I know I'm supposed to do something to end the meeting, and now I'm disconnecting. Bye, Paula. I'm hitting end.